Ms. Sapp, we are now live streaming. I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. Thank you for joining us today for the District Library Book Objection Committee meeting. The purpose of today's meeting is to review an objection to the book titled Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany T. Jackson. I'm Dawn Sapp, Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Our superintendent, Mr. Forson, has designated me as chair of this committee, and I'll be facilitating today's meeting. School-based and district staff, as well as parents and community volunteers, are invited to participate on each committee. Today's meeting will result in a recommendation that will be forwarded to Mr. Forson, St. Johns County School District Superintendent. This committee meeting is public record and therefore subject to sunshine law. It is being live streamed for public viewing. Committee members are not required to have their camera on during the meeting. We are committed to civility and decorum. Please assist us in maintaining a constructive meeting environment by remaining respectful of each participant during the meeting and afterward. Additional discussion of the objecting party or committee members outside of the meeting is discouraged. Disparaging comments are contrary to district expectations regarding character and civility. Committee members received several resources in advance of the meeting. The resources included the objecting party's request for reconsideration, a copy of the book, Florida statutes, Florida Department of Education guidance for library media services, professional source reviews, St. Johns County School Board rules, the Library Bill of Rights, and a school library media material evaluation checklist. The process for today is as follows. First, the objecting party will have the opportunity to address the committee. They will provide any information they deem compelling or new regarding their request. Next, the committee will have a discussion utilizing the school library media material evaluation checklist. Finally, the decision by majority vote will determine a recommendation for the superintendent. Possible recommendations can range from retaining the book as it currently stands, retaining the book with grade level restrictions, requiring parent permission, or removing the book from all St. Johns County School District libraries. For a meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcome. Are there any questions so far? Okay, let us begin. Carrie Gustafson is the objecting party for Monday's Not Coming. Ms. Gustafson, this is your time to address the committee. You have up to 5 minutes to share your objection.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. This came about because I was told about this book, sought it out, read it, and then saw that it was in a few middle schools. And I sent an email to one of the middle school principals along with the content and indicated that I did not think it was appropriate for middle school. I got an email back on July 1st stating that she did agree with her media specialist, and together they removed it from the 6th through 8th grade where it was. At that time, it was in one other middle school. I just assumed it would be removed. And then sometime in early January, I was notified that there would be a meeting like this. So the main thing about this book, Monday's Not Coming, is that it's a very adult theme, to say the least. I think everybody here probably read the book, but what we must know is that 6th through 8th grade should not be reading 90 curse words in a book. They should not be reading like from page 272, I snatched my arm back, fumbling, the liquor making my body extra light. She sucked my dick. I didn't really want it to happen. It just kind of did. Then 275 talks about lighting up blunts. 276, is she fucking all of them? A girl whispered, but loud enough for April to hear. So again, 90 curse words, 26, 8 ass, 26 fuck, 32 shit. You know, in our school, we would not allow a kid to say that, not even in high school. You know, I just feel strongly that we are doing something by buying books and allowing them to stay in our library, that is normalizing this kind of behavior, which goes totally against what we're teaching them. I don't think an R-rated movie, even with parent permission, can be shown. And generally, one F word makes a movie be rated R. And obviously, we have much more here. Then just to go to the idea of your younger brother being killed and kept in a freezer. I don't know that this is a topic. And then the girl herself was killed. Nobody could help her. Is a book that a kid should just come across and grab. Maybe they think, oh, I hate Mondays. I hate coming to school. Monday's not coming. We're the adults in the room, and we need to protect minds from these kind of horrors, in my opinion. Like I said, at the time, I sent this to the middle school, but now that it's on the bigger forum, and we did just hear that maybe we should be looking at, should it be for 9th and 10th graders also? Should there be parental permission? Nowhere have I been able to find it to be recommended for traumatized kids to read about other traumatized kids to heal. Just because kids can be exposed to sexual content, foul language, abusive relationships on the internet does not mean the school should provide it. Some parents provide alcohol when their kids are with them, but the school never would. Some parents curse and allow their kids to curse, but the school staff wouldn't. Anyway, thank you for considering whether or not this book is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gustafson. Committee members, please refer to the school library media material evaluation form for our discussion. As a reminder, Florida statute states that any materials used in a classroom, made available in a school or classroom library, or included on a reading list may be objected to for 4 specific reasons. Reason number 1, the material is pornographic or prohibited under section 847.012 of Florida statute. If the majority of the committee determines that the material is pornographic or prohibited, the recommendation should be to remove the material. For the remaining 3 reasons, the committee will determine if there is an appropriate grade level for the material or if the material should be removed. Those reasons are: number 2, the material depicts or describes sexual conduct as defined in 847.001(19) of Florida statute. Number 3, the material is not suited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material. Or number 4, the material is inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used. Keep in mind, our final task will be to make a recommendation to Superintendent Forson. Those possible recommendations can range from retaining the book as it currently is available to students, retaining the book with grade level restrictions, requiring parent permission, or removing the book from all St. Johns County School District libraries. The floor will be open to discussion, and each committee member will have the opportunity to share. Comments will be summarized to provide an overall committee response for each question. Please remember to raise your hand to provide a comment. For our meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcome. We will now go through the checklist together. I will read each question, ask if anyone has comments, and then we will vote. Let's begin. Question number 1, the objecting party's challenge of the material cites that, it cited that the material was inappropriate for middle school students. And I believe it also indicated that there was sexual conduct included in the material. So we'll make sure that we take the text that Ms. Gustafson provided on her objection, and we will place that in as the answer to number 1 for Mr. Forson. Number 2, specific pages in the material cited by the objecting party were received. So for this, were reviewed, I'm sorry. So for this question, we just ask that committee members are basically going to acknowledge, did you get a chance to review the material, specifically the pages that were had the material that was part of the objection. This just lets Mr. Forson know how many members of the committee looked at the material. So if you did review those pages, please go ahead and vote at this time with a yes. If you did not have a chance to review the pages, please indicate no.
Ms. Sapp, that is, excuse me, 8 yes votes and no votes. You may clear your vote at this time. You may go ahead and clear your vote at this time.
We need everyone to please clear those yes votes just to make sure that we're ready for the next question.
If you need help with how to clear your vote, remember, you're just going to go back to that same reaction tool and click the same vote that you voted. There we go. We are good to go, Ms. Sapp.
Good deal. Thank you. Okay, so for question number 3, similar to question number 2, this is just an indicator to Mr. Forson of the number of people on the committee who reviewed the professional and or crowdsource reviews. So if you did review the professional and or crowdsource reviews, please vote, signify with a yes. If you did not look at those reviews, you would signify with a no.
Ms. Sapp, we have 8 yes votes for question number 3. You may now clear your vote. Thank you. We're
Okay,
all
great.
clear.
Okay, so starting with question number 4, this is where after I read the question, then I'll open it up to any comments. If you would like to make a comment, please just indicate by raising your hand. So question number 4, is the material pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012? Are there any comments? I don't see any hands raised, so we can go ahead and vote. Is the material pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012?
We're just waiting on one more vote. Ms. Sapp, for question 4, we have 1 yes vote and 7 no votes.
Thank you.
You may now clear your vote.
Question number 5. Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 840.001 parentheses 19? Are there any comments before we vote? Okay, I don't see any hands, so we'll go ahead and vote. Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001 paren 19?
Just waiting on one more vote. Oh, now we're waiting on 2 votes. One last vote.
We need everyone to make sure you've registered to vote for question number 5. Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001?
Ms. Sapp, for question number 5, we have 3 yes votes and 5 no votes. You may now clear your vote.
Thank you. Question number 6, is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented? If we can go ahead and have someone from the instructional materials team. Usually Ms. Sikowski helps us with this. Where is this content currently available?
So the material is in high schools. It was available at a middle school before this middle schools before this objection was made. Excuse me.
Okay, so we didn't have a restriction that would keep it out of a middle school, but
No,
it
ma'am.
currently sits in our high schools. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So back to question number 6. We just like everybody to have a reference on that. Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented? Are there any comments?
We have one hand raised. Eric, please go ahead.
I just had a clarifying question here. I understand that it was in a middle school, but now it's not, it's in a high school. So when we're talking about students here, are we talking about, is the question asking about high school students or middle school students?
And I would say we should consider it middle through high school because the book didn't have a restriction on it that said it couldn't be in a middle school. It just, none of the middle schools have it right now, but there
Okay.
isn't anything that says they couldn't have it. So, okay, any other comments? We'll go ahead with our vote. Number 6, is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented?
Waiting on 2 more votes. Oh, we have another question, Ms. Sapp. Mr. Casting, go ahead.
So I think this, if you kind of split hairs here, I think it having this in a middle school collection looks different than in a high school collection, just because, you know, in middle school, you've got 11-year-olds to, 13, 14. And, some of the, and Mr. Lambert, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the, industry recommendations kind of have this sitting in high school, age groups. I believe one said age 13 and up, and one said, high schools. So, I mean, my perspective with this is, from a middle school perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Casting. And I think, yes, that's fair because the objecting party, their objection was due to the material being available in a middle school. And of course, once we work our way through the questions, we will get to that point where we decide what our actual recommendation is for Mr. Forson. And as you guys make these comments, of course, we have someone taking notes that will summarize the comments back for Mr. Forson so he can see, that there was some deliberation between middle school and high school on this question. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Patrice?
Ms. Sapp, go ahead. Go ahead, Patrice.
Patrice, you may need to unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Yes, there you go.
The book is about two 8th grade girls. That's middle school girls. It talks about the struggles of teenagers and their friends and homework and parents, and it demonstrates love and concern for a friend in trouble. I think we're getting lost in the language that a lot of kids this age use. I see no reason why it couldn't be handled by middle school kids. It's a very real life story, in my opinion.
Thank you for those comments, Patrice. Any other comments before we go back for our vote? Okay, seeing no hands up. Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented? Yes or no? Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented?
Waiting for 2 more votes. One last vote.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the vote. Oh, there we go. Okay,
Hold on one second. Okay, we have 8 no votes for question 6.
thank you. Question number 7. We need to clear the votes. Question number 7, is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used? So I think we should address this question for grades 6 through 12, because I'm going to go back to, although it's not currently sitting in a middle school, it was when the objecting party made the objection. So we're going to vote on, is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used? Are there any comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. Is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used?
Just waiting on one more vote, Miss Sapp. All right, Miss Sapp, we have 4. Hold on. Let me make sure this is the right. Yes. 4 yes votes and 4 no votes for question number 7. You may now clear your vote.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now at the point where we need to make our recommendation. So we worked our way through the questions. There isn't material that would generate kind of like an automatic remove it from this team. So the team needs to determine basically at which grade level it is appropriate. Do we leave it available for grade 6 through 12? Is there any interest in some sort of a different grade level band? Is there any interest in a parent permission? So I want to open the floor for discussion so that we can hear if someone has an idea or a thought. So please indicate with a raised hand if you'd like to share a thought.
Mr. Shaw, go ahead.
Yeah, I voted yes for the last one, but like with the stipulation of recommending it for the high school. I do agree that middle school students, some of them, depending on the population, this is real life. With what one of the other members, Patrice, I think, said. But like having read this book, um, the abduction and the physical abuse and the freezing and murder kind of at this level in the middle school, being in a middle school, maybe not all populations, the lower end would be appropriate. I think, maybe in a high school setting, it would be a better suited is just my recommendation, my thinking.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Gavin, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I'm very comfortable with this book being in high schools, 9 through 12. And I do think that probably for 6th and 7th graders, the material's too mature. I would be comfortable with having the book in an 8th grade only section, which we do have at Landrum. But I agree with Mr. Shaw. Definitely high school, perhaps also 8th grade only.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Mr. Casting, go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with this. It's one thing, and I agree. I think it's acceptable, for high school age kids, but being in a middle school every day, and seeing 11-year-old, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and I don't know that this is a super appropriate book for that age. So I mean, I that's where I would sit with it is, kind of keep it in high school.
Thank you, Mr. Casting. We appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to share a thought? Okay, so what we've heard is we've heard 3 different members of the committee express that they believe that it is certainly appropriate for students in grades 9 through 12. Some concern about it being available for middle school aged students. One person indicated possibly also including 8th grade, since we do have in our middle school libraries some 8th grade only books available. So now we need someone to kind of make a motion on a place for us to start, and so that we can start to vote on where our recommendation will land. So is there someone willing to make a motion?
We have Patrice with her hand up.
Go
Go ahead, Patrice.
I vote that it's 8th grade only.
Hey, Patrice, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you mean 8th grade in only in middle school and then also in high school, or only 8th grade?
8th through 12th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Certainly.
Patrice has a motion on the floor that we approve this title for grades 8 through 12. Is there anyone who would like to second that? Raise your hand.
Go ahead, Eric.
Eric, do you have any comments to add?
No, I had been planning on making the same motion.
Okay.
So accordingly, I would then second the motion.
Okay.
But start the
Very
voting there.
good. So is there anyone who would like to add comments about this being available for 8 through 12 before we vote? Okay, so the motion on the floor is that this title will be retained for students in grade 8 through 12. And at this time, we will vote. If you agree with the motion, please vote yes. If you disagree, please vote no.
We're just waiting on one more vote. Okay. Ms. Sapp, for the recommendation of retain for students in grade 8 through 12, we have 6 yes votes and 2 no votes. You may clear your vote at this time.
Thank you. So, being that we have the majority, that will be the recommendation that we push forward to Mr. Forson. Of course, he will also see, comments and summarizing kind of our work along the way. Is there anyone who would like to make any type of closing comment that you'd like to be included in the notes? Okay, I don't see any hands. And just for the sake of the committee, just to know that this title would now be available to schools that have an 8th grade, and they would be able to choose to have it in their media center if they do choose to have the title. It doesn't mean that every middle school will have the title. It just means that it would be available if they choose to add it to their collection. Okay, so a couple of final orders of business before we close out. First of all, thank you very much for your participation today. We have 2 final action steps that we need you to do to conclude the work of this committee. First of all, your acknowledgement as a participant on the committee is needed. The recommendation, which will include notes from today's discussion, will be emailed to you. You may acknowledge participation by responding with an email, or you may review and sign the document at our Media Services office at 10 Hildreth in St. Augustine. So if you can just read over the summary that looks good to you, if you can just email us back, that will be great, and that will indicate your participation. The second thing we need from you is to please return your book and any notes that you had from your work to prepare for the meeting. And if you can just return those to the location where you originally picked up your book, that would be great. So Mr. Forson will communicate his decision to the objecting party, and the website will be updated in approximately 15 days. You may check the website to see the final resolution for this title. Are there any questions before we close the meeting? Okay, this concludes the meeting. Thank you.